Hey pilots, DrainMan here, and today I have a very special video. Today we are going to build the all-new ETHiX Cinerat. We're going to build it step by step, we're going to build it in fullness, and we are going to take it to the sky. Alright, so first thing we'll do is take the lid off, and we're going to go ahead and mount our ESC, get our motors mounted. So for the ESC, I busted out the Typhoon V2.2. Alright, so we've got our ESC. I picked an interesting choice for our flight controller. I think this will be cool for anybody who's interested in building this board, but we are doing the White Noise FPV Synergy F4, and this is the Revision G. If you're not familiar with it, we are actually going to mount the VTX and the Crossfire Nano right here on top of the flight controller, and it's going to be all one tight, compact little deal. Alright, let's go ahead and get our grommets in. So I was actually short one grommet. I'm not sure why, but I only had 3, so I went ahead and found one laying around. That's why I always tell you guys, do not throw anything out. I don't care what it is, even if it's a little rubber grommet. So I went ahead and I tried to use these plugs that it came with. It's not really working out because one is the correct size and the other one is too big. So I would imagine that other ESCs are not the same size as the one that I have. And what I have here is the Typhoon 32, but the plug does not fit in here. It is just too big. Not sure if you can see that. So what I had to do is I dug through my plugs and I was able to find this one here. And it's the correct size here, and it is also the correct size here. So that allows me to use this plug. The downside to this plug is that the pins do not line up. That means that the VBAT here is not in the same spot that it was on here. So I had to stop, take a few minutes. I pulled up both pin outs, and then I rerouted the wires for each until I got them to line up to the correct pads. So if you're dealing with that too, that is how you do that. It is not abnormal to have to do that. You would think that every 4-in-1 company would get together and say, hey, let's just put them all on the same pads, but they don't. I've decided that I'm going to mount it in this direction. I would think that if I place my motor here, my propeller is going to spin without hitting my XT60. I don't know how that's going to work out. So I found some stack screws. It's very important that your stack screws are not the same height as your top plate because you want to have space in between. And then I'm going to use nylon nuts to hold it down, and that will also give me some space in between my ESC and my carbon fiber so they're not touching. I could not imagine trying to spin the threads that many times without this screwdriver. I just can't. I absolutely find this to be a must-have. If you don't have one of these in your arsenal and you do want one, I have a full review on it. You can check it out. I'll put the video down in the video description. I might even throw a card up there right now. Ooh, that's a tight fit. We got plenty of space. It's perfect. We have just enough space to put a top nut, and we're going to have our VTX Crossfire on top. This is actually freaking perfect. I'm really liking this board. I'm excited. We're going to see. We're going to see how this board goes together because I don't know. Right now, it seems like it's going to be sweet. These are the flat rats, and they're not very big. They're only 1507, but they are absolutely gorgeous looking. And I don't know if I've mentioned this. I'm sure I did a few times. They are 6S motors, which means this thing is going to have no problem carrying around a ton of weight. Put on a 4-in-1, any 4-in-1, you need to make sure your orientation is correct. And if it's not, you need to go into beta flight and you need to remap your motors. And what that is that's telling your flight controller, hey, listen, I know that motor 1 says that it's here, but it's really not. It's really over here. And you're just telling it what's really going on. Now to mount my motors, I've got to put these on. And I found out through some communication with TBS that we are supposed to receive a little thin piece of carbon fiber that's supposed to clip under here, and it creates like a pinch effect rather than my screws, which are going to want to just pop right through this. And it's kind of a big deal because we really need that. I don't know if you watched my ETHiX Cinerat video. If you did, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you didn't, you can go check that video out. I'll put it down in the video description. Alright, so it looks like an 8mm M2 is the correct screw length. I could probably use a 10. And the reason why I say that is because if you had the carbon, you're going to go that many more threads further away. I don't even know that I have enough. We need 4 times 4, that's 16. I think I found about 13 here. And we got to snug them up without tearing through the TPU because we don't have the carbon piece that we need. But there you go, that's what it looks like. And she's mounted. Looks really good. The looks are just fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and mount the rest. Seems pretty strong. I think it'll do just fine. I don't know, a couple crashes and we might go ahead and rip this right off. So there's not much support for that part. But once we have the second side on, we might do better. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. And that's why I'm making this video, to help you guys know what you're getting into before you spend your money, get you an actual review and get a close-up look at it. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and mount these other 3 motors and we'll meet back here. Let's go. Alrighty pilots, we have pulled it off. I will show you how to set it up. I'm going to show you how to put everything on here so you know how to do it if you've never built one of these. You might be watching this build just to see how this flight controller works, and that's fantastic. Enjoy the show. If you're here for this, well, let's get back to it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my ESC in place, and I'm going to get all my motor wires figured out of my way, because this is a hot mess right now and it's just driving my OCD crazy. Alright pilots, so I'm going to solder one up for you so you can see how it's done, and then I'll finish the rest and we'll meet back in the middle. Alright, so that's all 3 wires soldered up, ready to go. And then I take a zip tie and I go ahead and I put a zip tie around the arm to hold everything down and hold it all in place. Alright, and then all you do is you cut the extra zip tie off. Alright, so that's how you do that, and there you can see it's nice and neat, ready to go. Motor wire zip tied off. It's safe. It's not going to bounce up and get hit in the props. And my ESC is secured. We have a little bit of flux everywhere. We'll clean that after. Let's get them all on first. So that's how you do one. I'm going to hit the other 3. I'll meet you back here. Alright pilots, so there we go. We've got all 4 motors on, ready to go. They're soldered up. And they're looking really good. I didn't do nothing fancy with the wires. I just put them on the arm, hit them with the zip tie. That's always a good option. You know, you can't go wrong with that. As far as all this extra flux goes, I just use a toothbrush and a little bit of rubbing alcohol. And it takes care of all of it. And I like having it clean, man, because I'm not going to be back in there anytime soon. So why leave it looking like a hot mess? On to the next step. So what we need to do now is we need to mount our flight controller, because we're going to work off of that. Here's where you mount your connector, where you plug in your battery. Normally I would be wiring up an XT60, but this is a Cinewhoop and it's going to hold a smaller size battery, and I could have bought them in XT60, but I went ahead and bought them in XT30. And what I bought was a 650 milliamp hour 6S battery, and they are nice. So I'm going to have to put on an XT30 so that I can run my XT30 batteries. So let's get our Unify on. Let's get our Crossfire on. Here is our TBS Crossfire Nano. And here is our TBS Unify V3. So if you want to run this, you can use the V3, which is a 5-volt board, which is what they're telling you here. That's what that 5V is for. Or you can put the adapter on and you can run the TBS Nano, and you can run the Nano regular or the Nano V2 or Pro 32, whatever you want to call it. And that will give you what you need to get both of these put on here. And then from there, I'm going to show you what to do next. So let's start by putting these two on here. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and crack open our Nano. Putting on a Nano can be a lot of work if you don't know what you're doing. So because I'm not going to take the time in this video to do that and go through every single step, what I've done is I've created an entire video dedicated to the Crossfire Nano. I show you every single step, how to set every single thing up, how to wire it, how to program it. I've got one video that's got it all. Go ahead and check that video out. All right, for your Unify, let's go ahead and get this guy open. Now, for wiring the Unify, it's very, very self-explanatory. It's got the entire pin out on it, so you don't need help with that. But if you don't know how to unlock it and you don't know how to set it, I've got a video on that. I'm going to put that down in the video description. That's it. You put that there, you tack it here, you solder up these three, it gives you everything you need, and then you do the same with the Crossfire. Let's go. Alright, let me see if I can show you guys. I know it's hard to see, but hopefully you can see the 4 connections right there. And then you can see right there. Alright, so for the Crossfire, you just drop the pins that come with it. Just drop it in. I like to use the long side because the short side is plenty long to go through the board and then still give you some support. So that way you can fit yourself a little bit of double-sided tape or something of that nature. So it's as simple as setting it down, getting out your iron, and just give it a little tack weld. So grab your little snippers and cut them off. Some of those were some real shooters. So then go ahead and put a little double-sided sticky tape. Make sure that's nice and tight. Ready to go. And you might have a little bit of angle like I do, or you might not. It really does not matter. I prefer it, but do what makes you happy. Alright, then we come from underneath. I mean, and don't get me wrong, you do not have to do it this way. You can do this any way your heart desires. This is just the way that I've developed that works for me. Okay, on the Synergy board, on the back, there's a couple different jumper pads that you need to do in order to make your decisions or make your selections, and it's pretty cool that we have that, so I'm going to go ahead and make those choices now. And if you're unsure, they're just very simple questions. Are you running an inverted signal? No or yes. I am not. This is not an inverted signal, so I went ahead and jumped the middle pad with the N for no pad. For the power for my receiver, it's asking, do I want 3 volts or 5 volts? Well, it's a Crossfire Nano and it requires 5 volts. So I jumped the middle pad to the 5 pad. And then down here is my TX3. This is for your smart audio. You can select flight controller or crossfire depending on what you're doing. I selected for flight controller. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and get this thing mounted. All right, pilots, so next up is going to be to slide this through the connector that you get, or take your connector and slide it through your print. If you even have this adapter, and if you're even using this adapter. And then I'm gonna slide a screw through to hold it. That way it's strong. All right, they've definitely given you a good strong deal here, but this pigtail's having a hard time. For my antenna, I'm gonna use one of my all-time faves, and that is the Foxeer Lollipop. I get great video, and they're extra strong and durable. Oh, very nice, huh? Ooh, that's strong. That is impressively strong. And for 20 bucks, I get two, so they're really only 10 bucks. So I'm gonna hold on to this, and I'll use it on the next one. Okay, pilots, so what we got here is we put this stuff on. Let's go ahead and take a look up close and see. Yeah, it's not the prettiest, but it's already dry. We've already got a nice strong hold. Can't go wrong with that. Okay, our antenna's on, everything's on. The last thing to do, other than our XT30, is going to be to mount our camera. I went ahead and pulled this racing camera out of one of my racing builds. I'm not using it, so why waste it? Alright, so our camera is soldered up, ready to go. I left a little bit of slack in there because I'd rather this not touch the carbon or the metal. I'd rather it be a little bit loose, that way it can kind of stand free of any type of interference. So, who's ready? Woo! That's beautiful. Alright, so I went ahead and connected my radio real quick, and as you can see, I've got the green light. I'm doing a little bit of binding real quick just to get this all set up and ready to go. And let's see if we got video, huh? What do you say? There's the drone wall looking good. We are there. Alright, I just got the rest of my nuts on. My flight controller feels strong and good to go. I'm going to flip this guy over, and I'm going to show you something. You go ahead and take this silver screw out. And if you don't have a silver screw right here, you might not have built your frame correctly. And that's okay. I have a video where I build this frame. You can go ahead and find that link down in the video description and use that to help you out. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull this off. We're going to bust out one of these. Alright, so that goes through there. And just make sure you put the right side up. Fold this forward and stick it in the hole. It's literally that simple. And just make sure it's coming through in the right orientation. And then you'll just connect that guy right here. It does look absolutely amazing. I'm going to get fantastic range. It's out of the way. It's not touching the motors. It's laying down here. I mean, overall, it's a great place to put it. Alright, pilots, we are 100% done with that portion. The next thing we need to do is go ahead and solder on our XT30 and bring it up. If you want to run an XT60, feel free, go right ahead. I'm going to use an XT30. It'll be smaller, lighter, and out of my way. One cool thing I want to bring up about this quad is, yes, it is a 3-inch. Yes, it's going to use 3-inch propellers. Well, guess what, guys? With these prop guards and 3-inch props, no, you don't have ducts, but you do not have to worry about that boo-boo that we had to worry about before, where you had to sit there and cut your props and file them down and make them work. Look, you don't have to do that anymore. They did accommodate that, and they made a Cinewhoop prop, which is actually cut a tad bit shorter, so you don't have to do that. And they were a little bit thicker to give you a little more air coverage. Okay, pilots, so I have built my own XT30. It's nothing special. You just take a female adapter, and you can do an XT90, an XT60, it doesn't matter. I took a female, I soldered on 2 pieces of wire, and then just put some heat shrink, and now we've got a pigtail ready to go. So we're probably looking at something like that. Grab my cutters, we will trim that guy there, and probably hit this guy like there. Remember, this is one of your most important connections. This is not a time to be cheap with solder. Alright, so we are soldered on, we are zip tied. That's going to take the restraint off of our ESC. God forbid we crash and eject a battery. And now when we pass a battery strap through here and we've got a battery plugged in, it will loop over it and strap it down. Let's go ahead and put our screws in. Alright pilots, she is built and ready to go. I hope that you guys enjoyed the build. I hope you guys enjoyed everything, our journey along the way, the ups, the downs, and everything in between. Let's go ahead and take this thing to the sky. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you on the next one.